Hey everybody, it is Romania Black. We are on episode 8 of season 2, Attack on Titan, The Hunters. So, I'm pretty excited about this episode. I've been excited this episode all season, as soon as I found out that this was a 12 episode season. And you may be asking why. And I'll explain more in the recap, but I'm an English teacher, so I like to analyze things through a literary lens. And one of the big literary tropes is that you have a 3-act structure. And so far, with anime I've watched on this channel, if it is an 11 to 12 episode series or an 11 to 12 episode season, the rule of 8 has applied and been proven correct with every single show that I've watched that has been in that 11 to 13 episode range. And that is that episode 8 is always when the third act of the 3-act structure is about to start in an 11 to 13 episode season. So it's been like that with all the series I've watched. And so the idea is that you're entering the climax. Everything's going to build towards the climax of the season, and this is the episode that kicks it off. And every series I've watched, episode 8 has been a good one. I've not been let down yet. So I've been really excited to get to this point in the series. I had no clue what would be happening at this point in the series, and it's baffling to me that we're already at the final act, that we're already entering the climax of season 2. I felt like season 1 lasted forever. Now this season's gone by so quickly. And a lot has happened. And I think that Isayama has built in this arc a perfect 3-act structure so far. And we'll see how it shakes out at the end of the season. And I'll come back in the recap video and talk more about it. But the last episode 6 was amazing. And then this last episode was such a good follow-up. And where it ended with Bertolt falling on Reiner and Eren. The title of this episode being called The Hunters makes me think that Reiner and Bertolt are going to escape. Now, whether they escape with Eren and Ymir or not, I don't know. But I think they're going to escape, and the Hunters are going to be our Survey Corps going after them to try to track them down. Because the cat's out of the bag now. We know it's Reiner and Bertolt, so they're not safe anywhere. But the question is, where do they go? Where are they going to go to? They're out in the middle of nowhere. Where are they going to go? So, and like, what damage are they going to do before they escape? The Colossal Titan just falling is extremely hazardous. Even if Bertolt's not in it, I mean, that's going to cause a lot of damage just by itself. So I don't know what to expect out of this episode at all. I figured, last episode we were going to have Reiner versus Eren, and we did. But now I'm like, I think they're going to escape, but I don't know the circumstance or what's going to happen. So I'm pretty darn excited. But we shall see if the rule of 8 applies or not, right? And so, like I said, when we do the recap for this season, I'll go into kind of the 3-act structure, and we'll see with the rest of the season how this all shakes out. But I'm so excited, y'all. I'm so excited to get into this episode. I can't believe we're entering the final third of the season. Wild. But I'm not going to waste any time. I don't have too many notes. I usually wait a couple days extra before I start this episode, but after that cliffhanger, and I do want to watch a little bit ahead so I don't get into spoilers. So yeah, I had to go ahead and watch this episode. So I'll probably comment on everybody else's comments in episode 9. But for now, let's dive into this, shall we? We are going to start episode 8 of season 2, Attack on Titan, here in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's do this. Okay, so this was a lot more low-key than I thought. It was still a good episode. I still hold out the rule of 8 is good because it's setting that conversation between Ymir and Eren and Reiner and Bertolt. Ever since episode 6, I've been like, I need the 4 of them to talk. And if we get that next episode, yes, please. Yes, please. I need this conversation to happen. And they tore Eren's arms off so that he can't fight back. They tore his arms off. I mean, they're in the process of regrowing, but holy crap, and Ymir's arms and legs are in the process. So I'm very curious. I'm curious to know what they've talked to her about so far, because they're keeping their distance. Ymir and them, they're keeping all the distance, and they're in the damn trees. Oh my god, no! This episode is a big setup episode. A huge setup. There was so much foreshadowing in this episode, I feel like intentional foreshadowing and setup that we need to talk about it. In the 3-act structure, your third act, at the end of your second act, usually if it's like a tragedy or drama or something that's like action or whatever, your characters are in their lowest spot at the end of Act 2. And that's pretty much at the start of this episode, that's where everybody's at, right? This episode was kind of like the end of Act 2, beginning of Act 3. So you had Aaron being taken away, Ymir taken away, all the soldiers injured, nothing was accomplished. The only thing that was accomplished was that we weeded out Ymir, Reiner, and Bertolt. That was it. That was the only thing accomplished in this episode that was anything positive. Everything else went to hell in a handbasket, and our characters are at their lowest point. And that whole scene of Mikasa and Armin on the wall kind of illustrated that our characters are at their very lowest point. And then Hannes comes in and is like, no, we're not going to take this sitting down. We're going to get Eren back. And he kind of motivates them and spurns them into action. And we're going to talk about that with this episode. But and then we're setting everything up. We're going into the climax of the season. At episode 9, we got 9, 10, 11, and 12. Okay, so we've got 4 episodes left. So this was the end of Act 2 officially, going into the third act. And it's all set up. It's perfect. Isayama, genius. Just set it up perfectly. Just setting it up. We're going to the damn trees again. It's like Forest of the Giant Trees Part 2, Electric Boogaloo. We're going back, baby, to that. Except this time we have 2 to 4 Titans to deal with instead of just 1. Instead of 1 or 2. So we've got that. We're setting that up. We're setting stuff up with Hannes, setting stuff up with Hanji and Levi and everything at the military police with Erwin. Jean's back. Still so damn worried about Jean. We'll talk about it. And just setting all this stuff up. But I wondered in the OP, I was like, man, they're out in a field fighting. We're going to go back to, they're all headed back out towards Wall Maria. And they were lifting the horses over to the other side. So here's the problem, though. Here's the problem. If they lift the horses over the wall to go to Wall Maria, how are they getting back from the Titans? There's going to be Titans out there. They're going to have to face Titans and then corner the other 4 of them? Or the 2 of them plus Ymir and Eren? I guess they're assuming that Eren and Ymir could turn into Titans. Maybe I don't foresee. Ymir is my biggest question mark. Because Ymir is my biggest question mark. I can see Ymir going either one of 2 ways. I could see Ymir helping Eren and helping the Survey Corps because she wants to protect Krista. Because she cares about Krista. The ship is real. She cares about, at least on Ymir's end, she cares about Krista. So I could see, and plus, I don't think Ymir likes Bertolt and Reiner, so I could see her on one hand helping Eren and the others to escape Bertolt and Reiner. I don't think Ymir could take down Bertolt and Reiner. No way. Not in that tiny Titan form. No. But I think she could help hurt the other Titans, maybe. Or the other thing is, if Ymir sees the writing on the wall and she's like, Bertolt and Reiner are too much of a threat, I could see Ymir siding with Bertolt and Reiner just to keep, like if she makes a deal with them to keep Krista safe, or if she sides with them because she's like, well, they're going to be on the winning side. I don't know. Ymir is my big question mark. I can see Ymir's loyalties going either way. I really can. And so that kind of concerns me because Ymir's been, her whole motivations have been pretty much for herself and for Krista. So that's why I think she would side with Eren, but I'm not sure. I feel like Ymir is her own agent and she wants nothing to do with anybody except when it comes to protecting Krista. So that's curious. But we need to go through this episode. There's a lot of stuff being set up for this final act. I can't believe this season's gone by so quickly. And this has been probably the most low-key episode. I thought episode 22, The Defeated, would be low-key, and it really wasn't. It had a lot of crazy stuff happening and a lot of action. There's not really any action sequences in this episode at all. It's the most low-key actionless episode I think we've had in the entire series so far. But it's also taken us back and helped reestablish Mikasa and Armin's entire motivation for being with Eren and watching over him. And yeah, damn, Armin sees them get Eren. And the Bertolt is such a... Bertolt's slow, but he's so huge that even when he's turning back into a human, like just the sheer force of everything is crazy. And luckily Reiner has the armor to protect him, But I also wanted to note that since we found out that Bertolt and Reiner are the armored colossal titan, the animation makes their facial features look a little more like Bertolt and Reiner. And see, Bertolt has the stuff on his face, and he's got Ymir and the ODM gear. Damn. Calculated. Calculated indeed. And Reiner's like jaw is like a shield. It helps do all that. Damn. And they got way away. So they're on the side of Wall Maria. Well, I've got theories, okay? So here's the thing. I'm so curious. My big curiosity is, what are they going to talk to Eren and Reiner about? What are Reiner and Bertolt going to say to Eren and Ymir? I'm so curious. What would they say? What are they going to talk about? Because here's the thing. If Reiner and Bertolt are going to try to get Eren on their side, then they have to try to entice him with something, some reason why he would want to stay with them. With Ymir, I think it'd be a little bit easier because they could just promise Ymir that they wouldn't hurt Krista. They'd be like, oh, we'll keep Krista safe if you go with us. And she'd do it without hesitation, I think, because I don't think she cares about anybody else except Krista. So Ymir wouldn't be that hard to convince. Eren has always wanted to distance himself, as we established in this episode. He's wanted to distance himself from Mikasa and Armin because he thinks that he doesn't need their protection, one, and two, because he does care about them and he wants to keep them safe too. Back in season 1, he didn't want Mikasa to follow him around. He's like, no, I can take care of myself. I'm fine. Mm-hmm. So here's the deal. I'm wondering if Bertolt and Reiner, because they've been in the Survey Corps, they know Erwin's speech and everything, if they're going to tell Eren and be like, look, if you come with us to the Titans, if you come with us, what we'll do is we'll make sure that your friends Armin and Mikasa are fine. We're not going to hurt them. We have nothing against Armin and Mikasa. You know, they may have something against Mikasa because she tried to kill them. So that may not be true. They may have nothing against Armin, but they may have some stuff against Mikasa. But they may tell Eren, they're like, look, we won't hurt Mikasa or Armin. We'll let you and your little friends go for now if you come with us. But also, they're on the side of Wall Maria. I could totally see Reiner and Bertolt being like, if you come with us, we'll take you to the basement. We'll take you to Shiganshina, to the basement where you can find all your answers. And then do whatever you want after that. Because here's the thing. They hate humanity so much. And in the last episode, when Eren was like, you guys, you know, you're the worst of the worst. There's nothing that's happened that's as worse as what you've done. Ever since that line, I talked about it in the last reaction, but ever since that line, I've just been thinking about it. And I'm like, no, you know, humanity's pretty shitty. We're pretty bad. I could totally see us have done some really bad things in this show and giving Eren reason to doubt. Yeah, that's the crazy thing, right? Because we don't know Bertolt and Reiner's story. Why do they want to destroy humanity? There has to be a big reason behind it, and they want to regain their hometown that they lost. So I'm like, clearly the humans have probably something to do with that. So yeah, I just don't know. I want to know what they talk about. I was really hoping we'd get some of that this episode, and we didn't. I was really hoping we'd get a flashback, or at least see, and at the very end of the episode, we see Eren waking up and just seeing the links that Reiner and Bertolt have gone to make sure that Eren's not getting away anytime soon. But, so of course, the Titans are back at Tross at the little boulder. I'm really curious why we haven't seen any Titans near Wall Rose. That's still, which I guess there are no Titans inside Wall Rose except the ones that presumably Connie's village were turned into. But we've not seen any other Titans. Here's my thing about Pixis. All right. I was afraid of this. I talked back in the recap. I was afraid ever since the OVA Sudden Visitor that they were going to turn Pixis's character into a little bit of a caricature where he's just drunk all the time and he had his like badass moments and that's it. I was a little disappointed because I feel like this episode kind of solidified that, and I'm like, damn, I really thought Pixis was freaking cool, but I'm like, is his whole thing that he's just like a drunk womanizer? And he just had his few moments at the very beginning of the show and that's going to be it? I don't know. I really hope, I want like the smart chess playing Pixis to come back, because here he's got all these booze bottles and his subordinate has to wake him up. and being like, I don't want to take care of you. So I'm a little bit disappointed in that she kind of has to watch over him, because he was such a badass in season 1. Being cared for by a pretty lady sounds all right. He just wants to be around a woman. It's like, ugh. She's like, no more. So we finally get to know, we don't know what Erwin and Jean and them have been up to. Jean's been hanging out with I don't know why Jean didn't go with the others to begin with, unless he wanted to stick behind and find out more about Annie. It's a little bit suspicious to me that we get met up with Erwin and Levi. Levi's been with Pastor Nick this entire time, watching over him, right? Because Levi's still injured, so that's been his job, is to watch over Pastor Nick, who's still suspicious as hell. But we aren't told what Erwin and Jean and all them have been doing. I'm like, Erwin's not just been sitting there. Not Erwin, not this dude, not how he works. He's been planning something, and we just don't know what it is. And then my question is, what has Erwin and Jean been up to? Has Jean just been hanging out? Why didn't Jean go with the others? Why did Isayama do that? Why did he keep him stuck behind with Erwin? I like that he's stuck with Erwin, because I've always, like I've said in season 1, I think Jean has a lot of potential as a leader. And so I kind of likened Jean and Armin to Pixis and Erwin. Like, Armin is big brain and seems like one step ahead, kind of like how Erwin seemed. And then Jean has like that leadership skills, kind of like Pixis. And so I'm curious to know what they've been doing this whole time. Which, granted, I say this whole time, it's been a day. So they probably haven't been doing much. That's a good point. It's only been like a day that all these events are taking place in the span of a day. That blows my mind too. So they probably have just been strategizing and talking about Annie. So I guess nothing much has happened. It just seems, this season feels like weeks have passed and it's only been 24 hours, which is pretty insane. And then Erwin saying we're one step behind. But I do like what Pixis says here. He says, at least it'll get those goons in the interior thinking. And maybe they'll reconsider how important their stale beliefs and motives are to them. And it appears that they have. Because the military police have been forced into an area with Titans. So, yeah, this whole incident with Annie at Trost, or at Stohess, the whole incident with Annie at Stohess has forced the military police to come in contact with Titans and has forced the interior government to be like, maybe we should pay attention to this. Maybe this is a problem that we need to take care of so that they don't come and destroy the Walsina and invade our people. Maybe we should take care of that. So no, bless his heart, Jean. I'm so glad to see Jean again. I'm so glad to see him. It just like warms my heart. I've gone 7 episodes without seeing Jean. It's like, finally, there you are. And so him questioning. And I love that he's so concerned. Like, Jean just wants to know that his friends are alive. It's like, because, he found out Marco was dead. And I felt so good. You know that Levi and Jean had to feel good this episode knowing that their friends are alive. That we didn't have any casualties. I was like, we didn't have any casualties. There's some people with red flags all over them, and we're going to talk about that. Pixis has a red flag on him. The whole idea of him being drunk, he has a red flag on him. I'm like, I see down the road Pixis dying for sure, because he's a commander and a captain, and that rank being taken away seems like a logical choice, but I don't know how Isayama is going to do it, if he is going to do it. And so the military police being a bunch of douche lords, just saying like, oh, everybody's just sitting around. I thought this was an emergency. I love that they picked the wrong person to go with. I'm like, first of all, you don't pick with Levi about Titans. That's you don't press the Titan button with Levi. Like, as we've seen from No Regrets, that's not a good idea. You ought not have done that. And I love this douche lord is like, hey, Levi, where are you hiding the Titans at? And Levi's just like, oh, hey, you all seem so disappointed. Maybe you can come help us on the Survey Corps on a scouting mission. Wouldn't that be fun? I love Levi takes none of their shit. He's just like, no, I'm not playing that game with you. I love it. I love it. Levi just dishes it right back like it's nothing. And he doesn't even look mad about it. He's just like, And then the other guy's like, oh, well, we're busy with work on the interior. And then Sasha and this guy coming back to spread the news. For the record, Levi looks great in civilian clothes. Worries me to no end that he's still not recovered enough to wear his ODM gear again. Worries me a lot because I'm like, Levi, I don't need you in a bad situation. If Levi sticks with Pastor Nick the rest of this season and that keeps him safe, I'm fine with that. I'm fine with that because ever since he had that injury back in episode 22, I was like, I don't like it. I don't feel comfortable with Levi having that leg injury. So if this keeps him safe, I'm fine with that. That's fine by me. But yeah, Sasha and them like running back, getting the drink. And I like that Jean is right up there by Erwin's side. I like that. If we're setting up Jean to maybe Jean could be like, become like up there with Levi and him in second in command. Kind of like, well, Mike's dead now. Mike was like second or third in command, wasn't he? Did it go Erwin? It either went Erwin, Levi, Mike, or it went Erwin, Mike, Levi, and then Hanji was like right there in that fourth position, I think. So Mike's dead now. So maybe they're like positioning Jean to be in a place where he could take over from Mike. That would kind of be cool. That would kind of be neat if Jean like worked his way into the Survey Corps to like become in the upper echelon there. Because Jean's smart and he has good intuition as a leader. He doesn't have like Armin's galaxy brain like him and Hanji, but Jean is smart and has good intuition and gut instinct. So that would be really cool if Erwin was like kind of positioning him to like work his way up. Okay, so then of course this one guy is with the garrisons, so Pixis is questioning him. A bit of a situation. What an understatement. This guy's like, oh, there's a bit of a situation. I don't know how to describe this. And so we're heading back to Tross to give our report. And yeah, they ran to Hanji's unit. And then there were recruits from the 104th without their equipment. And obviously Levi and all of them know who these recruits without the equipment are because they intentionally made them not have equipment. So they'd be easier to spot and keep track of probably. 3 of them were Titans. 3 of them. And man, Erwin and Levi, their expressions don't do anything. It's almost like they were expecting it. Like it was just proving their point. But Jean, poor Jean, he's like, excuse me? Jean's like, there were more? And his face, he's like, there were more? Because that's such a betrayal to Jean. That Jean has been reeling from Marco's death and it being Annie this whole time and her having involvement in it. He's been reeling from that. And his face when he finds out there's 3 more, it's just like, there are 3 more of my friends that are in on this that potentially had something that were involved in Marco's death. And he's like, 3 more of them. And then he looks at Sasha and he's like, who was it? And then Sasha's like, oh, well. And then I like that he gets freaked out, but Erwin's like, Jean, chill. And Jean's face, I can't. Jean's face looking so heartbroken. Erwin doesn't ask who they are. He asks what happens when their form was revealed. Like, what were their actions? And the scouts engaged the Colossal and Armored Titan. So we're finding out that it was the Armored and Colossal Titan. Were 2 of them. And it was over. And Jean's like, wait, is anybody dead? And then, of course, everybody's going to get updated. I felt so bad for Jean. It's like we get reintroduced to him right off the bat, and he's just given more pain. It's like, leave John alone. He's suffered enough. Speaking of suffering, we're going back to the wall, and they're being Armin and Mikasa. I really, really like what the story has done in setting up Armin and Mikasa and Aaron's relationship in this episode, and how it's always been in the past. And Hannes has so many death flags. Hannes is probably going to die this season, and I'm going to be heartbroken because of this episode if he dies, because we're setting up some things. I'm glad, before I get into Hannes, I'm glad that Connie knows that we're setting up a lot of things with Connie too. Man, okay, we're setting stuff up. Okay, in this last part of the episode, we're setting stuff up with Krista. We're setting stuff up with Connie, with Hannes, with Armin, Mikasa, Aaron, with Reiner and Bertolt, with Jean, with Ymir. We got these 10 people. I still think that Levi's going to stick with Pastor Nick. But I just, ugh. So as far as Hannes is concerned, we get this flashback, and I think it's from Mikasa's perspective, but the idea is that, from what I've gathered in this, that Armin had his bread stolen from these bullies, and that Aaron was beating him up to get the bread back for Armin, and Mikasa, who is yandere concerned with Aaron even from the age of 8, goes and beats up those guys to keep Aaron safe. And so this whole relationship set up between them is that the three of them working together to have each other's backs, that all three of them keep each other safe and protect each other and look out for each other. Like, we've set our main trio up to have that dynamic. But Aaron, like Hannah says, Aaron just rushes in. He doesn't think, he just rushes in to protect people. Like, Aaron has so much compassion in terms of, like, he's always compelled to protect his friends and stand up for them, right? And he tries to protect them and stand up for them the best he can. But like Hannah says, Aaron's not that good at fighting. And we saw this in this last episode. He's not the best soldier. He's not good at fighting as some others are. But he has so much conviction and ferocity that it's scary. That's his thing, is that he has so much conviction that when he gets behind an idea, he goes 110% to it, right? When he is convinced that something is worth fighting for, he's going to go all in. It's like he pushes all the chips on the table. And he's like, I'm going to do it no matter what. So even when he's up against 3, and I like that it's 3. It's the rule of 3, but it's 3 bullies specifically. Because so far we've had 3 Titans against Aaron. We've had Reiner against him, Annie against him, and technically Bertolt. So Ymir's not really been against Aaron, so we can't include her in the mix. And I like that while Mikasa's fighting these guys, she's like, hey, you need to get home and chop wood so your mom won't be angry. Like, forget me fighting these 3 at the same time. And this is clearly something that happens all the time because the garrisons, Hannes and the other soldiers, aren't concerned about it. They're like, oh, let the kids fight. It's fine. Go get him, Mikasa. Don't lose to her. And then the shop owner's like, they're wrecking my stuff. And we establish again, they call the soldiers freeloaders. They call the garrisons freeloaders. And he's like, you're a waste of our tax money. And this goes right back to episode 1, right back to how the town and the kingdom view a lot of the members of the military, like they're a liability, like they're just wasting their time and money. And it's funny, during this, as Aaron calls it, a false peace, there was this mentality, and then when the Titans show up, suddenly everything changes. But yeah, a waste of taxes. And then, yeah, I like that Hannes fights with him and tries to, like, show off his skills there from, you can tell from the training regiment that he went through. He has the same, like, thing that Annie and Aaron were doing. Because it's like going back to episode 3, you don't always fight Titans. Sometimes you have to fight the people in the kingdom, too. And so he's going back to doing that same thing. But the dynamic between Mikasa and Armin and Aaron, that the 3 of them gel so well together. But Mikasa's always been, like, the main protector, and Aaron's been the one to get everybody's back, and Armin's been the smart one that's always been the compassionate friend. Like, the 3 of them have that dynamic that works so well together. And Mikasa brings up a good point. She's like, Aaron always is running off to be by himself, and we're always just trying to keep up and watch over him. And Armin's like, well, it's always been like this, so why should we be surprised now? And in that moment, it almost seemed like, I talked at the end of last season about how the parting of the ways seemed like it was setting up. And I felt like it was like, I felt the end of season 1 that it was Armin splitting up from Mikasa and Aaron, and Armin going off with Jean, right? And a lot of you pointed out and showed me stills from the manga where the anime changed that tone just a little bit. And it wasn't really like that. And so that changed my perspective a little bit, but now I'm seeing it's not necessarily Armin getting separated from Mikasa and Aaron, it's Aaron getting separated from Mikasa and Armin. Because just like the end of this flashback, Aaron's running off to chase after the bullies, to chase after the antagonists. And it's mirroring Armin running off with the antagonists here. And Mikasa, when she wakes up and he's not there, she freaked out. Like, her look to Armin, she was just like in full panic mode. Like, where is he? He's not safe. I have to go find him. Because that's been her life since age 6 or 7, has been following him and protecting him when he needs to be protected. Because she loves him. And Armin's like, you gotta calm down. Like, there's nothing we can do. We don't have the horses to chase after him. The horse thing is the main thing, because I'm sure Mikasa would be like, well, we could have went after him ourselves. And he's like, we don't have horses. How are we going to deal with the Titans? And yeah, they went on to that side of the wall. Damn. So back in the last episode, or in episode 6, Reiner was taking off. I had it mixed up. I had it that Reiner was taking off with Eren towards Walsina, but he was going the opposite way, away from Walsina, back the way the Beast Titan went. Oh no. Ooh, that's not good. That's not good. So is he gonna take, oh my god, are they taking Ymir and Eren back to the Beast Titan? Are they gonna talk about that next episode? I'm getting so hyped for episode 9 already. But yeah, Mikasa just looking so heartbroken. And Armin tries to break it down as best he can in like the simplest terms. He's like, there's nothing we can do. We have to, Hanji and the others are too injured to move. We've got to wait on backup. They're sending a scouting party, a small scouting party, and we're going to need more soldiers than this to even start that. Soldiers with experience. And he's like, that moment where he says, understand, and she kind of like half nods her head like she gets it, but she's still in shock. Armin's like, if we want to send a small scouting party to go retrieve Eren, we need more than just the two of us. We can't do this by ourselves. And she gets it, but her looking like she's about to cry, and she says not this again, and it's mainly just that feeling that she loves him and she worries about him, and that when he was taken away by Annie, she just kind of went into like instinct survival mode to go after him. And it's such a parallel for Mikasa from that moment. Like, her and Levi were able to rescue him, but she couldn't do it this time. Did not work out the same. And yeah, if it's already been 5 hours, they are long gone. But as Hanji points out, they're resting and recovering in the giant trees again. I can't believe we're going back to that. I can't believe we're going back to that plot point of the giant trees. I can't believe it. That's such a callback already. It seems like forever since episode 18 of season 1. So that's going to be interesting to go back to the trees for another battle. Interesting. So yeah. But that calls back another thing too. The idea that back in episode 18, that Bertolt and Reiner, that they let her go into that forest where the scouts and stuff were, and they stayed on the outside fending off the Titans, so they knew what was happening with Annie in there. They just entrusted that Annie would get the job done. And she kind of did, to an extent. Interesting. But there's a bit of foreshadowing here with Armin. And Mikasa all bunched up in a little thing with her scarf was adorable. But Armin saying, I guess that's the way things are meant to happen. For Eren, at least. So, saying the idea, now that you mention it, Eren always runs off on his own, leaving us behind. I'm like, that seems like foreshadowing. It seems like foreshadowing. And so I'm wondering if Reiner and Bertolt are going to try to convince Eren to go with them. And saying like, look, if you don't want your friends to be in danger, you need to come with us because we need to take you with us for whatever reason. That's why I want to know. I'm like, where are they going to take him? What are they going to do with him? What's happening? I feel like I could see Eren going off with Reiner and Bertolt if they tell him they're going to take him to the basement, and if Eren thinks there's a chance of him escaping and getting back to Armin and Mikasa. Because I don't think he would abandon the scouts, and I don't think that he would abandon Armin and Mikasa, but I feel like he wants to know that knowledge from his dad so badly that he would go with Reiner and Bertolt to get that knowledge, and then he'd like peace out, be like, okay, thanks, bye. But I don't know. I need to know what they're going to ask him. But Mikasa looks so hopeless and sad here, just like with her scarf. And she's like, I just want to be with him. That's all I ask for. That's so sad. Because, yeah, it seems like such foreshadowing in this episode that Armin and Mikasa are going to get split up from Eren. that it's inevitable, even if it's for a short amount of time. And I love that Hannes comes to give both of them the crackers, and him talking that little speech he gives to them where he's like, I miss those days, back before everything with Shiga and Sheena. He's like, I miss those days where he's like, the taste is neither good nor bad, it's the same as always. And that's such a metaphor for how things were before Shiga and Sheena, before the wall, before Bertolt and Reiner tried to destroy everything. That's such a great metaphor, because he's like, the good old days, they were neither good nor bad, they were the same as always. But Aaron called it a false peace, but he's like, I would go back to that in a heartbeat, because he's like, it still was a peace. It may not have been true in the truest sense of the word peace, but it was a lot better than it was now. Right? Mm-hmm. And then Armin likens things, saying, well, things haven't changed too much. The Titans and humans are a bit different in size. But I like that Hannes says no matter what he's up against, whether it's 3 or 5, he'll charge in all the same. And by the time Mikasa or the soldiers showed up, he'd be beaten to a pulp every time. And Mikasa, like, having the tears in her eyes, like, crying. And he's like, but I've never seen him win a fight before, but I've never seen him get beat or give up either. So that's the thing. Aaron may not win a fight, but he's not going to give up. His spirit isn't going to be broken, no matter what happens. And that's what triggers Armin and Mikasa to being like, oh yeah. Hannes is like, no matter what happens, he's so tenacious that it's scary. He's going to keep fighting. He is not going to give up, and his spirit isn't going to be broken. No matter how many times he gets knocked down, he's going to get back up. So that's just how he is. And he's like, do you think he's just going to get taken away and not put up a fight? He's like, no, he's going to resist them as long as he has strength until y'all get there to save him. Like, he's going to, just like in that thing with the bullies, he kept fighting him even though he was getting beat up until Mikasa and Armin got there. Like, he kept going. That's how Aaron's always been. And I love that they both realize that, and they connect that memory to now, being like, nothing's really changed. The bullies have gotten bigger, and the stakes are higher than a piece of bread. But at the end of the day, Aaron is still going to keep fighting for what he believes in, and he's going to keep fighting until someone else gets there to help. I love it. I love it so much. But like I said, Hannes, he's like, I love those good old days. And he's like, I'm going to fight with everything I got to bring those days back. And I'm like, oh, Hannes, I feel like he's going to die after this episode. I was like, Hannes, you're going to die, and it's going to be really sad. And if Mikasa and Armin see it, it's going to be double sad. And I'm not ready for that. No, not after this episode. Nope, I'm not ready for that at all. There's so much foreshadowing here. And the moment he said he was coming to, I'm like, yeah, I don't like that at all. Without you 3 together again, I can't bring back the good old days. But here's the thing. I don't think the good old days are coming back. I don't think they are. I think Hannes is that little thread of the old way, of the old world, of the season 1. Hannes is that little season 1 before Shiga and Sheena thread that I think this show is going to cut away. And I don't like it at all. I don't like what it's foreshadowing. I feel like this episode is foreshadowing that Hannes is going to die. It's foreshadowing that Aaron and Armin and Mikasa may be split apart. Maybe they'll get reunited, but maybe they'll split apart. It's foreshadowing with Connie. The idea that Connie is going to have a conversation with Reiner and Bertolt. He's like, I can't believe there are enemies. I need to hear it straight from their mouths. It's like, oh, Connie. Because I think what's going to happen is that Connie is going to get to the point where he can ask him, and they're going to tell him that they're his enemies. But then we have Mikasa and Armin just chewing into them crackers. Eating those crackers as hard as they can. The Hunters. So this episode didn't really explain who the Hunters were. I assumed it was the Survey Corps, because now they're hunting the Titans, right? They're hunting them in the woods. But I'm not entirely sure. That was a good CGI shot of those horses coming up. And Moblet. Oh, Moblet! I'm getting to where I can recognize Moblet a little more and more, which is fun. But Moblet coming up, and they have the lifts and everything for the horses. Jean is right by Erwin. I find that interesting. But I like that Armin tries to convince, and here's the other foreshadowing thing. Armin tries to convince Krista to go back, and she's like, nah, Not with Ymir being there. So I feel, again, like if Ymir is going to side with humanity, I feel like it's going to be because Krista's going with them. Once she sees Krista, she's going to fight to protect her. So that's my theory, is that she's going to stick by Krista's side throughout all of this to make sure she stays safe. And Krista's like, don't give me a double standard. I know y'all are going after Aaron, so it's no different. But yeah, I like that Moblet is trying to get up there with Erwin and Jean to get things ready, and Hanji's just like army crawls, being like, I need a map. I got a plan. Even when she's like half dead, she's like, we can do this. We got this. But yeah, I love that they rode across the wall. That's so crazy. I mean, it probably took them longer because it's a lot narrower, but it was the easiest way. And then old Moblet, I love it. I love that he checks in with him. And then Hanji grabs his leg. She's like, Moblet, get me that map. We got stuff to go over. So they're all gathered there. And what I really, really love is that we have on one side, we have Hanji and Mikasa and Armin on one side. But our three men now that are together are Moblet, Erwin, and Jean. Our three Survey Corps guys. I'm really worried about Moblet, obviously. I'm worried about Moblet, that he's going to die. I'm really worried about Jean. I'm like, Jean's back in the picture. On the one hand, yay. On the other hand, I don't want him to die. So I'm really worried about that. And then Hanji, girl, she is like burnt up. She doesn't even have, her face is like so burnt she can't put her glasses on. So, but they're deploying all the horses. And so let's assume their destination is somewhere outside of Wall Maria. So they're headed that way. And Jean looking so serious. Considering the distance they'll have to cover, we can assume they'll need to recover their stamina. And Hannes is with them. Connie's with them. I don't see Sasha. So I don't know if she stayed behind. I don't see her in the group. But I see Krista. And then, yeah. And then Aaron waking up. And sure enough, Hanji, big brain. They are, in fact, in the trees. And he's got the stuff around his eyes like Ymir had. I'm wondering if Ymir's have disappeared or if she's still got, like, he's got it where it, like, gripped a hold of his face. And they cut his arms off. And just tied it up with the Survey Corps jacket. Ymir's still got the stuff on her face, too. Yeah, except her leg and arms grown back. And her guts look like they've probably grown back. Oh, Aaron. Yeah, and then there's Bertolt and Reiner. And so see, they got 2 ODM gears. So do they each have one? Are they splitting it or what? Yeah, it looks like there's no, but Reiner has 2. Where'd they get the other one from? Unless they had it stashed in the tree. They could have had it stashed in the tree. That's really true. I'm so hyped for this conversation. You awake? I'm so hyped for this conversation. And then, okay, we got everybody gathered up here on the wall, ready to go. Armin, Mikasa, Krista, Connie, Jean, Erwin, Moblet. But I'm like, if we reach the forest by nightfall, we'll still make it in time. Damn. Oh God, the hype. The hype, the hype, the hype. Because we only have 4 episodes left. And this is leading us into the finale. Ah! Oh my God. So yeah. Cool. So, death flags on Hannes. Death flags on Moblet. I'm worried about Jean. I really want to know what the hell these 4 are going to talk about. What is Aaron and Reiner going to say to him? And it's probably a good thing Ymir is there, because Ymir will probably try to shut Aaron up so he'll listen. Because Aaron, I can assume Aaron's going to be like, I'm not listening to you, you traitors, blah, blah, blah. And Ymir's going to be like, shut your face. Let him talk. Because Ymir probably wants to know too. And I'm curious how they're going to deal with Ymir and confronting her about killing the one guy. I have never had the urge to want to watch the next episode so badly in this show than I do now. But I'm going to wait a few days. It's fine. I'm going to let this episode soak. I'm going to let it sit for a little bit. And then a couple episodes are about to come out on Patreon, YouTube. So if you all comment about anything crazy, I'll comment on that in episode 9. But this episode was really good for kind of like, it was like the defeated episode, getting us back. Our troops are licking their wounds and about to go into the final battle of the season. And I have no clue where we're going to from here. Because we've established Reiner and Bertolt are going to be insanity to try to fight. So Erwin has to have a plan, right? And Levi's not with them, thank goodness. So I'm curious to know what we're doing with Levi as well. I'm curious to know, too, what you all think. Please no spoilers. Or if you have spoilers, please just make a little note down there below in the comments. Say, Romania, don't read after this until you've watched the end of season 2 or whatever. But I'm curious to know your thoughts down below. I'm so excited for episode 9. I cannot describe it in words. So until then, I hope you all have a wonderful week. Please stay safe, take care, and I'll be back soon with more Attack on Titan. Bye.